I want to move on and talk about Roland Emmerich with, this is so funny because we had, we went and saw Moonfall the other night, and we did a very, very spirited review. It was 33 minutes long, where I basically talk about how this is the greatest and worst movie of all time. And then Nick sent me a link to a YouTuber that he likes who this movie broke him. He's like, I can't tell if it deserves a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes or a 100%. It's so bad. But the thing is I love bad movies. I absolutely adore.
Like The Room?
Even that's almost beyond parody. Like that's like you can tell that's like serious, but like it's just made by a guy who just didn't really understand the process of movie making.
They use the same sex scenes 3 times.
This is
the same one.
Wait for
in The Room.
This guy. This is a man who can objectively make a good disaster movie, i.e. Independence Day or Day After Tomorrow. 2012 wasn't even all that awful of a movie, and still. I just love the fact that he talks crap on the industry here, because he's just like, I'm on my shit. I don't give a crap. And he doesn't like Marvel movies. So it says, Independence Day director says franchise films are ruining the industry. Roland Emmerich has made it clear on a few occasions that he is not a big fan of Marvel, and he recently doubled down on his disdain for big franchises. Well, it sometimes seems that the world is being dominated by the big movie franchises, such as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Wars, and the DCEU. I mean, it really is just stuff being owned by corporations. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's the soulless whims of billionaires who want to sell you something that has to use as little advertising revenue as possible because they've built up goodwill over the years.
And from the last episode I was on, we were talking about how they're going to remake, what's this called? Critical Role?
Yeah.
Into an animated series. So like now even the independent people are getting remade. It's like crazy.
At least they're involved in like they're executive producing and helping write it. Like
I know, but like
nothing
repurposed.
Nothing is sacred from that started out as a Kickstarter campaign that eventually ended up on Amazon Prime. So.
And also I was reading the comments, they said the One Piece live action, the creator may not be a part of it.
Obviously not. Mm-hmm. There's no way.
Yeah, because like they said the article that we read said he will, but they said maybe he might not because like Hollywood will take over.
Yeah, completely. They won't allow him to make what he wants.
Yeah.
Isn't there a trillion One Piece episodes? Like
there's over 1,000 and something episodes. Wow. Like I just saw a review.
There's no way they can do a live action. Like the actors are gonna be like 172 by it's done.
Exactly, but I think they're doing like season 1.
What a ridiculous show, by the way. Just effing ended.
That's what I'm saying. I never got into it. Like, did you ever get into it?
The animation is horrible looking.
That's what I'm saying, but people love it. Like, they eat it. It's like the most delicious thing ever, and I'm like, no.
I love complaining about One Piece for all my Weeb fans. One Piece sucks. Get over it.
Get over it. It says let's go down here and start back up here. It says there's no denying their popularity. They're talking about those properties they mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. There's no denying their popularity is the reason for the growing number of big movie franchises. However, along the likes of Martin Scorsese, Independence Day director Roland Emmerich isn't a huge fan of the way these movies have taken over cinema, and has gone as far as to say he believes that they have ruined the film industry. His take seems a little dramatic in the grand scheme of things, but the colossal movies that come along with every one of these franchises, such as Spider-Man No Way Home, the upcoming The Batman, have changed the way disaster movies like ID4 are received by audiences, and there is an expectation of everything being bigger than it was before. During an interview with Den Geek, Emmerich said, naturally, Marvel and DC Comics and Star Wars have pretty much taken over. It's ruining the industry a little bit because nobody does anything original anymore. While this is not the first time Emmerich has taken a swipe at superhero blockbusters, having previously said that he used to watch Marvel films on long-haul flights to fall asleep. That feels like shade. And it seems like that much of it comes down to, by his admission, being German-born. He revealed in an early interview that superheroes were not a thing in Germany until after he was beyond watching that kind of thing. So he didn't grow up with those properties. But most of the audience didn't care about whatever people want to admit, they didn't grow up caring about this stuff.
None of it.
What's funny is like none of this translates to sales in the comic books because the comic books are so awful now and they're so far removed from what sells on screen.
That's what's so funny about people, dude. Like I remember like when being high school and like liking Batman and being excited about the first trilogy, and they were like, Batman. what are you, 3? And now everyone is like, oh my god, I got my Batman t-shirt. Like, people will just like people are algorithm and they'll like anything they're programmed to.
I don't think it's as much Marvel as it is. I think that the Dark Knight trilogy made it more palatable to normies because that wasn't a superhero movie. It was essentially a crime thriller. It was in no way was it superhero.
Academy Award winning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's socio-political topics that lean into that with Ledger dying and passing away, but in general, it made it palatable to normies. Like, they're going to make Miss Marvel now, and they're going to have to change her superheroes because nobody wants to watch somebody have an arm that grows to 3 times normal size and punch somebody in the face because it looks stupid.
Also, the CW trying to get Gotham Knights. Yep,
they're gonna do so. All of this stuff, it's so watered down now. Mm-hmm. So I get what he's saying because in a lot of ways, as big budget and dumb as his movies were, at least they were like scripts that he had to write that didn't come with built-in characters, right? So the reason I hate these movies is because they don't pay attention to what these characters' origin stories were, anyways.
Yeah, but Will Smith playing Will Smith,
I'm okay with that. Yeah. That doesn't bother me.
As was I. But what I'm saying is his formulaic isn't that different, if you know what I mean. Will Smith being confident and what's up, guys? Let's save the day. That was a genre. That was the Marvel movies of our time.
Exactly. What I'm saying is he's part of a genre that passed. When we were arguing about, or not arguing, we were talking about whether Jackass Forever or Moonfall would win the box office this weekend. I knew for the most part that because it costs so little to make, Jackass would probably be the more successful movie. But deep down, I want to see disaster movies make a comeback, not because I think they're good movies, but because they remind me of my childhood. So I'm susceptible to that nostalgia element that we all fall victims to at times. It harkens me back to a time of far less socio-political strife, far less polarization in the public climate. I have a soft spot there. Would I know that when this movie was made, arguably there's very little in the way of political agenda in this movie other than the inclusion of certain elements that clearly were notes from the Chinese production company, including a Chinese nanny that speaks Mandarin.
She's not a nanny, she's a foreign exchange
nanny. No, she's the kid's nanny.
That's
also a student.
The music industry and the movies in particular, not TV shows as much, but definitely movies and
TV shows are worse, dude.
No,
they're so woke.
Yeah, some, but
we're watching. I just the best show that I've seen in 5 years right now.
I finally finished it.
I'm watching it for a second time, and 10 years ago it would have been a boilerplate, passable action series. Now it's revelatory because the lead character is allowed to just be a masculine dude that doesn't get talked down to by women. So that industry is almost worse because they need their points.
But movies are all just remakes. Movies are woke remakes, and at least TV shows are new.
Depends. I mean, there's brilliance out. Like you said, Euphoria is very popular right now.
Wasn't that show canceled?
I can't. No. They just had season 2. I can't really watch it because I'm sensitive to anything with heavy drug use in it. I've been rewatching Justified and I forgot just how much drug use was in that show, and I love that show. But I'm watching dudes do I'm just oh man, there's scenes I have to fast forward through because it's a mental trigger. But writing like that is almost non-existent now because they have to have agenda in there. So in TV it's about socio-political agenda. In movies it's about remakes, but none of it feels organic anymore because it's the same 3 mega corporations releasing this stuff. No matter what movie you're watching, it's probably a branch of Warner Brothers or Disney or the Disney Corp.
And it's formulaic. So when I get a show like Reacher, which has tropes in there, but they're tropes that aren't as used these days.
So I'm gonna review it tomorrow, and I'm literally gonna talk for 20 because that's how good it is to me. But I would love to see. I don't know if the pendulum is gonna swing back the other way. But the point is he's calling out Marvel movies, and then And then we find out here from this next article, it says, Moonfall is a real disaster at the box office. So they take pot shots at him, too. It says, only a few days after Roland Emmerich was cited as saying that the Marvel Studios and Star Wars franchises are hurting the industry and making it more difficult to make profitable disaster movies like the ones he is known for, it appears that he was simply constructing a pretext for what was to come. Moonfall, the latest disaster epic from Emmerich, appears to be destined for a colossal flop after failing to establish a gravitational attraction with the early moviegoers. That's fantastic writing.
I mean, you just gotta go straight to Netflix right now. Like during the pandemic,
movies
there's no point.
A movie like this would have been better. I feel like would have done better streaming.
Yeah, you gotta go straight. Like it's
if
you're just embarrassing yourself.
If Red Notice, if they can make $100 million Red Notice movie on Netflix, why can't they do a $146 million disaster movie? With, because the Red Notice cost that much because they had to pay The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot. This movie only had Patrick. I always forget his last. I want to say Patrick Stewart, but it's not Patrick Stewart. It's but him and Halle Berry. Mm-hmm. Halle Berry is like arguably the biggest name in that movie. But I'm sure Netflix can still afford her if it's a movie like that. This would have done way better on HBO Max or on Netflix. But the thing is, people who watch these movies, like, I don't want to see big dumb disaster movie on a big TV. Mm-hmm. I want to see big dumb disaster movie on a movie theater screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
big dumb dialogue fits on Netflix. Big dumb action fits on the movie theater.
So you guys have analyzed the box office numbers a lot.
Yep.
So are they like super down in comparison to like pre-COVID?
Anything non-superhero related, it's blamed on COVID. And then superhero movies do okay, and then it's still blamed on COVID. Spider-Man kind of destroys that narrative because it's about to become like the third highest grossing movie of all time, not adjusted for inflation, which is a mistake on their part.
I saw it on Saturday.
Spider-Man?
Finally?
What'd you think?
It was really good, but the way Tim was talking about, I was like, this is the greatest movie in history.
We're in an age now where movies are so obsessed with subverting expectations and not giving audiences what they want that a movie that just avoids political agenda and gives you what you want seems like like I said with the show, like Reacher, it seems like a revelation to just make something the audience wants. Mm-hmm. They didn't. Peter Parker is the main character in his own movie for once.
It was like a mental health movie.
Yes.
It was like all about like turning the villains into good guys and then failing along the way. It was kind of weird.
Yep. Tim loved that movie. I mean, it was, but I've never been particularly attached to Spider-Man as a superhero. And I also think there's a lot of revisionist history about Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man because everybody hated that movie.
I liked it.
Everyone else hated that movie when it came out.
I liked it. I thought he was great.
Now everyone's pretending as if they're like, I loved it all along.
I think all the Spider-Mans have been great. I can't say the same for the Batmans because of like Ben Affleck, but like.
See, I love Ben Affleck as Batman.
Are you kidding me?
I love Ben Affleck as Batman. I love the idea of.
What can I throw at you?
First of all,
you can throw my wipes.
A lot of the dislike was factory manufactured from studios. I'm not talking about the fans. I'm saying, first of all, the studio interfered and took 35 minutes out of each of those movies that would have gone a lot farther in making the story more coherent. I understand the dislike for the story. This talk about how he's like killing people. I'm like, if you think that Christian Bale didn't kill at least one person every time he drove that tumbler off a bridge, you're nuts. It's literally just picking and choosing.
Yeah, they're roided out.
Yeah,
so like,
it's like if you don't think that anybody didn't die in any of those other ones, you're wrong. So to me that feels like manufactured bullshit from Disney paid companies that love they also, okay, I'll give you another example. Batman vs Superman had like a 46% drop or a 40 or 50% drop from week 1 to week 2, and every news outlet that covered it made it sound like that was the kiss of death knell, the movie's done forever. That's an average drop.
That was a bad movie though.
I'm just saying that I say everyone, but it's all subjective, dude. I will never. I will never like. I liked Ben Affleck better as Bruce Wayne, and I liked Christian Bale better as Batman. Okay.
Sure, fam.
There's also an argument to be made that Ben Affleck got stuck in a far more comic book like movie, meaning Doomsday and supervillains that make it a lot harder to act like a normal, like Batman would be taking on his regular rogues gallery of earthbound heroes. Had you put him up against Deathstroke when they were going to cast Joe Manganiello to play Deathstroke, could have been a totally different movie.
And also, I feel like he and what's this guy, Henry Cavill, they had no on scene chemistry.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't really. I love Henry Cavill as Superman.
I like him too, but like they didn't have any chemistry together. Like it was just like
he had good chemistry with Gal Gadot.
I mean,
I imagine any straight male would have fantastic chemistry with Gal Gadot, but you know,
Dane, your love interest is gonna be Gal Gadot. Yeah, I can deal with that.
I think I can make it happen. I think
I'll make
it
work.
I can make that believable. And we're getting off topic here, but the point is, all of this is subjective, and a movie like Moonfall, it's just past its time. So I don't really feel like his comments are anything like, Scorsese said the same thing. Arguably, Scorsese's era of storytelling is past its time too.
How do we fix this?
Video games are next. That's what will be strip mine. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying the next big well for Hollywood will be to strip mine and ruin all the video game
It's
franchises.
already happening.
Yep,
everything's a remake, and like the Kotaku fools are like sexualization and whatever.
Well, the men have 12-pack abs and are constantly shirtless. Yeah, it's hypocrisy on every level there. So that I don't even like. The funny thing is, when we started doing this, that was originally one of the things I was going to do. I wanted to cover like the stupid articles, but I try to keep it more like analysis driven and on articles that I actually tend to like, because there's more positive discussion that can come out of that. If it's just going to be me ragging on Kotaku or the Mary Sue, it's like low-hanging fruit of a bunch of like weirdo activists that are writing these articles arguably for clickbait. They want to make people like us click on them, so we'll talk about it. Our channel isn't that big, but there's a lot bigger channels. There's your Clownfish TVs, your Mr. H Reviews, who do cover these activists posing as pop culture writers. And I just say, don't take the bait. Yeah. Keep it positive.
What about the central theme of what Roland Emmerich is saying? Like, how do you think we get out of this? How do you think we just like stop spin-off world? Is there a way?
Smaller budget. COVID almost would help with that. Smaller budgets, don't invest as much into one single property, and make smaller budget movies for streaming. And you you'd only do a couple of movies a year in the theater. Those are the ones you make big budgets for. And then if your movie does well streaming, like they're making an Extraction 2, which was that Chris Hemsworth. Mm-hmm. Who was the one who played Thor? Chris or Liam?
Chris.
Liam's the one who was married to or engaged to Miley Cyrus, right?
Yes.
Poor dude. So they're making an Extraction 2. So there's these moments of brilliance in streaming that could arguably be pushed to the big screen if they did well enough. Right?
Yep.
So Netflix is never going to do that. But if Disney makes something that's really good that ends up on Disney Plus, they could then move it to the big screen, or Amazon could sell the rights to, but they don't want to do that. It's so decentralized now between these, it's all these same few big tech conglomerates, but it's over like 9 streaming services now.
But do they really save money if they just go for digital only? Because
we talked about that the other day. I don't know if there's a way to
most of the budget is marketing anyway.
Yes. Well, the way they figure out, at least for movies that are released in theaters, you take your budget for the movie and then you times it by 1.5, and that's your full budget. Mm-hmm. So if a movie costs $100 million, you times that by 1.5.
150.
So it's about half. You see what I'm saying, right? Like, that's your budget for the movie. So and then you have to assume that if it's a bigger budget movie, like a blockbuster, like a superhero movie, that's probably higher.
Twice?
I don't know about twice, but it's definitely not. Like, I've been seeing ads for Death on the Nile, and that's just it's a Kenneth Branagh, I don't know how do you say it? Hercule Poirot, but I can never pronounce it the cool way. Hercule Poirot. It's a murder mystery.
Yes.
He did Murder on the Orient Express back in 2017. Now they're doing Death on the Nile. And that's getting a lot of push, at least in the sites that I visit. So that's in the middle of its ad push right now because it releases this week, and it feels like about that much. And that's a movie with a huge cast. So I think my hope would be less conventional stories. Get away from superheroes. Get away from deconstructing. I'm so sick of deconstructing superheroes. I'm so sick of taking superheroes and then making them different for the sake of the socio-political agenda that you want to push because you're too lazy to do another character. Stop making race-swapping characters. Just make a movie about Steel. Steel's freaking awesome. Make a movie about Static Shock. But they don't want to do that because then they have to market it because normies have never read Static Shock or Steel. So I don't know. I think you're right. When it comes down to it, it's all marketing in the end. They're not looking at it about creatively because these people aren't creative. There's a very small percentage of the director, your writer.
They're gonna ruin Static Shock if they ever make it.
I know, right?
Because like the protagonist is black, so it'll.
They've already changed his origin.
And he's a very happy-go-lucky person, like from the anime that I remember, and like they're just gonna make him like, if the black man struggled, like they're gonna do that.
They're already doing that.
His best friend is gay, so like
gay and white.
There we go. It's just gonna be.
It's
pathetic fest.
To me, I think as easy it is to be like, what does he know? His movie sucked. I still think that he has a point that eventually the marvelization of cinema has to, there was a really good Razor Fist video where he talks about movie genres and how the superhero genre is reaching its peak. It's reached its peak, and it's now in its downturn.
For sure, after the Avengers,
he talks about how crime, film noir had its time period, and then and then there was the oorah '80s action movies, and all of these decades have their own specific genre, and then they're on the come down. I think video game movies are next.
I think it's gonna be after video game. No, I think it's going to be like family-friendly remakes.
That would be cool.
Like Home Alone and things like that.
They already did it. Home Alone already has a remake.
Yeah, but that's going to be the new trend.
That's probably right, too, because like a lot
for
of
us and our kids.
The marketing nowadays is going towards kids on YouTube. That's where the marketing budgets are being pushed to. Like they don't even want to do like 5 and under, because if you do anything 5 and over, then there's the weirdos who like get into shipping and stuff like that to those characters. It's so they're gonna just market like lower and lower for families. So
I bet
we will see. So my point is that don't blame Roland Emmerich for just because his movie was bad does not mean that his advice or his claims didn't have merit. That's all I'm saying. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.